Right, so recently on the channel we've been discussing all sorts of incidents from the independent wrestling scene, but today we're going to switch it up and talk about some of the craziest shoot incidents, fights, and biggest drama from TNA wrestling in its history. Because TNA back in the day had its fair share of rivalries backstage, fights, backstage heat, and all sorts and more that we're going to discuss in this video today. But before we do, I want to thank everyone who joined for the first stream this past Wednesday. I am looking at doing a stream again very soon, hopefully sometime next week, so stay tuned for an announcement on that. And let's get into this video talking about the craziest TNA wrestling shoot incidents. First of all, talking about the time that Teddy Hart and CM Punk got into a fight during a TNA taping outside the venue. Yeah, I feel like putting Teddy Hart and CM Punk in the same wrestling company is always going to have the same result and always going to have them getting into a scrap, and that's exactly what happened in TNA in the early 2000s, as during a TV taping they stepped outside to settle their differences in a scuffle that nobody really knows why occurred.
Tell me a quick snippet story of the CM Punk Teddy Hart scrap.
Oh, I was ringside for that one. I was front row center. It was hilarious. So there was a diner where we all ate that did catering for the show, and myself, Petey, and Chris Sabin had just left the diner. And on our way out of the diner, CM Punk was walking in and saying hello to people, and we said our hellos, and then we walked out, and coming up to the diner as we left it was Teddy and his crew. And we said our hellos, and we walked past, and there was a little hill, and we started up the hill, and I believe it was Chris Sabin who turned and said, "Hey, that was Teddy Hart, and he's going in while CM Punk is there having lunch." And all of us kind of wide-eyed went, "Oh, shit." So we missed the interaction that went on in the diner, which was basically, "You have a problem with me? Yep. I have a problem with you? Yep. Let's go outside and talk." Okay. So it was about that time where we'd only gone like 30, 40, maybe 50 meters. Turned around and we're walking back down, and there was a single parked car. And as we were coming up to this single parked car, Ted and Punk come out. Ted is taking off a Walkman headset thing that he was wearing. I don't know if it was an iPad or an iPod or what at the time, but taking off his headphones, puts whatever he was carrying down on this car, and they face off. And basically, Punk's got this smirk on his face, says something. Ted says, to the best of my knowledge, yeah, fuck you. Punk slaps Ted. Ted grabs Punk and starts just drilling him in the face. Quick scuffle of exchange. Punk ends up slipped onto his butt, and Ted starts kicking him, at which point Sabu jumps in. Sabu jumps in the middle, starts covering Punk, but at the same time is grabbing Ted and trying to pull him off as Ted starts kicking Sabu repeatedly. So it's at this point that I grab Ted, and I'm the one who waist-locked Ted and pulled him back. Because I didn't want him to kick Sabu anymore. It was more about, I would have loved to have let that fight go. I would have loved to have let that fight go and seen a full outcome to it. But ultimately, the fight was cut short. But I think it could have gone on at least a good couple more minutes and been highly entertaining.
Had Sabu joined in the mix, like as a competitor in the war, who do you think would have taken that?
Oh, geez. If it had turned into a three-way there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure Sabu would have leg dived Teddy right there, so it would have been just about anybody's game.
Yeah.
I would have had to still given the edge on that one, probably to Ted, just based on the fact that he was probably on something. So he would have had that little bit extra to go on.
And he's batshit crazy as well.
And Punk's straight edge, right? So he's straight, so he's good. But Sabu's getting older at that point and pretty beat up, so I'm pretty sure Ted had the youth advantage on him there. So.
But the next incident is a very famous one to talk about. It's one that took place at TNA Turning Point 2007, involving none other than Samoa Joe. As Samoa Joe was scheduled to team up with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall in a match at the show, but Scott Hall no-showed, and Samoa Joe was given the task to introduce their new partner, in which he took the opportunity to lambast Scott Hall for not showing up to the taping and bigging up the real stars of TNA and not the old time and legends. Kevin Nash, who was in this match, was unhappy about Samoa Joe's comments as he is friends with Scott Hall, and this will lead to a confrontation between the two backstage.
Joe, because Scott didn't show up, went out and cut a promo and went into business for himself. And Joe and I considered at that point, Joe and I were friends. And I understood his fucking disappointment and his frustration over the fact that Scott had no-showed the pay-per-view. And I'm listening there, and he's being pretty snug, but I'm like, then all of a sudden, fucking, I hear basically me get thrown under the bus. And I'm like, what the fuck? So we do our match. And when it's over with, we go out back, away from everybody. We're not even in the fucking studio where this taping's being filmed. And I just walked up and I said, what the fuck was that? I said, was that from Russo or was that yours? And he kind of fucking smirked at me. He said, that was mine. So I fucking open hand smacked him. He didn't go down. But he didn't say anything back either, so I smacked him again. And he just fucking looked at me. And then Jeff Jarrett came out. He goes, Kev. And Jarrett walked over, and I just said, fuck it, and I just walked away. Well, the next day, Joe felt so bad about it that they called a meeting, and he went in front of all the boys at TV and apologized directly to me. He didn't have to do that because I was just as I didn't my two smacks to Joe, but Joe was man enough to fucking realize I did go into business for myself.
Another famous backstage confrontation is one that took place in 2010 between Awesome Kong and Bubba the Love Sponge, the controversial radio host who was only hired to TNA because he was friends with Hulk Hogan. And after Bubba the Love Sponge made some controversial comments on the Haiti earthquakes on his radio show, Awesome Kong, who was doing relief work for those earthquakes, would clock him backstage and allegedly would punch him out and beat him up in an incident that would end up getting Awesome Kong fired from TNA.
One of the biggest things that was in the internet a couple years ago was with your incident with Bubba. Mm-hmm. What exactly happened there? If you go into the story, because we've read about it, but we never really heard about it through you.
It's so hard because I seriously believe that backstage incidents should remain backstage, and that validated to me that the fact that he went on his radio show and, reiterated everything, that he didn't belong backstage. He was a bully.
What was the initial problem? You were raising money for the Haiti earthquake, and he went on his radio show and made some derogatory comments towards you?
About it. It wasn't directed specifically towards me, but some off-color comments just about the general, people generally raising money and trying to do something. There were babies trapped under rubble, we're humans first, So, but I had a problem with him before that. So, because he was a bully, he came onto the set as a bully, as Hogan's best friend. And he bullied a young man to the point where the young man thought he was going to lose his job. And this young man is one of the hardest working young men I know. And was actually it actually achieved a mix-up, The things weren't organized during, I think, Hulk Hogan's debut. There was some kind of Bubba gave away some tickets, and there were too many tickets given away. People couldn't get in, so they had to set up a staging area. And this young man worked it to where, you know, these people weren't angry at Bubba, but some things got, you know, crisscrossed, and Bubba put the heat on this kid. And this kid was really afraid of losing his job, and he's a great soul. And to watch bullying, I can't stand bullies. I can't stand bullies. I actually called Devon, and I said, Devon, I'm afraid. He goes, well, I said, because this Bubba dude, I don't know him. I don't even know what this dude look like, but it's gonna be an issue. He's gonna do something. It's gonna piss me off. I'm already on the edge with TNA. If he do one more thing, he got one more again. He's only got one, and it's gonna be on. And the Haiti thing happened, and it was, you know, I have low tolerance for stuff like that. And things were changing in TNA.
Getting back to Bubba, did you confront him backstage? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. And now, did it get physical at all?
Yeah.
What happened? If you don't want to say, did you hit him or choke him?
Well, I'm not gonna say, because I guess he's suing everybody right now. So we got into it. Physical altercations should remain, you know, secret backstage. Vince Russo pulled me off of him, and you know, after that, it was over.
Based from Awesome Kong, honestly, but when Awesome Kong did eventually return to TNA 5 years later, the same thing would kind of happen all over again, as she was once again fired for another backstage bust-up. And this time it involved her and none other than Reby Hardy, the wife of Matt Hardy.
She had said some unkind and untrue things about me on the internet, and on the day that my grandma died, I'm like, girl, you is cold-blooded. So I approached her about it backstage and said, hey, you know, you said some about me online. What was that even about? And she was like, well, you put me in the hoe bag on this shoot interview. And I'm like, girl, I mean, I gave myself a big black on that same shoot interview. It was all like a thing called a joke, right? Get your notebooks out. It's called a joke, a rib, you know? Like, you know, if you had a problem with that, you should have called me. I would have told you, oh, I was joking. I have never had any heat with you, Reby, ever. Said, but what you said was extremely disrespectful and liable. You know, if I wanted to, I'd get my lawyer and be like, because people don't play with rumors of drug abuse in wrestling. You don't play like that. You know what I mean? Because we have a lot of people that suffer from it. You don't even throw that rumor out there like that. And so I'm like, what you did was messed up. You should apologize. And she would not apologize. I'm like, wow, I'm not going to sit here and beg you for an apology. What you need to acknowledge what you did was wrong, and you should apologize. Or if you don't want to apologize, that's fine, but you can stay in my locker room. And at this point, even before I had spoke with her, I came to her politely, and she had her baby. I said, is there somewhere you can, you know, take your baby? Because I already know about this girl. She is infamous for having an attitude. And I'm like, no matter how nice I come to her, this is going to get this way. I already know. So she passed off the baby to either Matt or a babysitter or whatnot. And while we had this conversation, she got louder and louder and louder. And it got to the point where I'm like, okay, well, you must leave. Oh, by the way, I had already went to TNA about this. I said, we have a problem. She needs her own locker room. You guys might want to take care of that. And they're like, you're the locker room captain. You have to take care of it. And I mean, I approached 3 different people about taking care of it. I said, you need to Google me, bitch. Do you not know what's about to go down? And so as we're talking, you know, she got an attitude. So I just threw all her locker room. Like, if you don't want to leave, all your sick and go. You can follow it if you want to, but it's not staying in here. And so she wanted to come back in, and she brushed past me, let her do that, let her do a whole bunch of things until she got into my face. And we, sometimes you ever just gotta just hold a person? Nah, I didn't punch her. I didn't, she's small. I didn't do anything. But sometimes you just gotta choke the somebody and just be like, I just had to choke or I'm just like, I choke. I'm sorry. It just got to that point. I tried everything, and I'm actually extremely proud of myself of how I handled that situation. I have no regrets because I gave her every opportunity to behave like an adult. And she came into contact with me first, and so I just held her at arm's length by her neck. I just restrained her.
And yeah, that's about every incident I have here to discuss in terms of TNA and shoot fight incidents that took place backstage and during TNA tapings. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and comment down below any other incidents and controversies and drama and fights and shoot incidents that you would like me to talk about on the channel. Subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a video on the Top 10 Wrestling channel. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye and keep on rolling.